Hi there. This is the story of Metaplanet, a company requested by a Titan member. By the way, if you want to invest in this company, you have two options. The US over-the-counter market, MTPLF, ticker symbol, or on the Tokyo Stock Exchange, 3350, ticker symbol. Now, the most important question is whether this company is a great investment or not. And during this video, you will find the answer in this box. So I'll open the box and you'll understand whether this company is a great investment or not. First, let's start the analysis to understand my answer, the final answer. Right now, the market cap is about 5.6 billion, so it's small. It can go up even more. Price, pay attention to this, $8.17. Went from $1.60 to over $8. So almost 8x. An amazing performance. Now, you have to understand how they make money. If you look at the revenue over the last 3 years, it's quite nice, and also their earnings. 3 million in 2022, 2 million in 2023, and 7 million in 2024. And their earnings, if you believe, are higher than their revenue. 7 million 2022, higher than the revenue of 3 million. 2023, a loss of 5 million. And 2024, a profit over 29 million, much higher than their revenue of 7 million. So more than 3x. So how do they make money? Because if you compare the revenue, 7 million earnings, with the current market cap, doesn't make any sense. Well, this is another company that wants to leverage Bitcoin. To acquire more Bitcoin, increase their holdings, and hope the price of Bitcoin will go higher and higher in the future. So, if you look at their balance sheet, yes, they have some cash, 2 million, quite small, and debt, 73 million. Now, if you look at their holdings, Bitcoin holdings, they have over 16k. At the current price of 116k of Bitcoin, the value is about 1.9 billion. So as you can see, the value of this company lies not on the revenue or earnings, but on their holdings, Bitcoin holdings, value close to 2 billion. If their holdings double from this level, then you have here 2x, this means close to 4 billion, which is close to the market cap. Now, but how do they generate this revenue? Well, from Bitcoin options. 87% of the revenue comes from Bitcoin option. They sell put options. They sell these options that the stock price of Bitcoin goes down, and they make a profit because in recent months, Bitcoin price, the price of Bitcoin went only up. So it's a profitable business, but as you can see, it's quite low compared to the current market cap of over 5 billion. And with this profit, yes, they buy Bitcoin. They also offer other services such as hotel, NFT, blockchain, Bitcoin consulting, and this revenue represents about 12% of the total revenue. Now, this is a business to sell put options. It works for a while as long as the price of Bitcoin goes up. But when it goes down, they'll report a loss as it happened in 2023. Now, still, if you look at the revenue and earnings, it doesn't make sense, the current market cap. Doesn't make sense their holdings of 1.9 billion. I mean, how were they able to buy Bitcoin valued at 1.9 billion with 7 million revenue or 40 million earnings? And here it comes. They increase their holdings by taking on more debt, but still is small, 73 million. But most of their holdings, most of their buyings for Bitcoin came from issuing shares. If you look at the number of shares over the last 3 years, it went from 57 million to 114 million to over 361 million. So it's like this. They take money from investors. So money from investors, right? By issuing more shares and buy Bitcoin. Right? And my question for you is, why don't you invest directly in Bitcoin if your only purpose is to buy Bitcoin? Why don't you invest directly in Bitcoin? You might say that your return may be higher. Well, that might not be the case in the long term. Maybe in the short term. But in the long term, this is value destruction. And let me explain. You own 50% of this company, right? 57 million shares. But as long as they bring more shareholders, you have to divide the value of this company by how many shares they issue. And in the long term, your value gets lower and lower. They go to 5%. The more shares they issue, the more holders are, and you have to divide this value of their holdings, Bitcoin holdings, among those shareholders. So you no longer divide by 57 million, but you divide by 361 million. And your value is much lower. Of course, you will make a profit, you will have a return in the long term, as long as the price of Bitcoin keeps going up. When this stops, the value of their holdings goes down. So the revenue, because they sell put options, and so their profits. And that will be quite bad. The price may go back to $1. So a decline in the stock price of Bitcoin will be a disaster for this company, the highest risk. So if you still want to invest in this company, Metaplanet, go ahead. But now, if you are really into Bitcoin, you want to take a small position into Bitcoin. Don't invest in this company. You will have a lot of dilution, as you can see here. Invest directly in Bitcoin when you think is the right time. My view is not the right time. But if you still want to have some exposure to crypto, Bitcoin, invest directly in Bitcoin and avoid those companies. They are not good. And to open the box and tell you whether this is a great investment, I hope you already understand the answer. No, it's not a great investment. Because this is not a sustainable business model. And in my view, those types of companies are a scam. You might disagree with me, but this is the truth. So, my prediction, mark my words, save this video, the stock price of Metaplanet will go down from this level over a longer period. In the long term, it will go down. Now, if you really want great investment ideas and stop losing your money, your hard-earned money, then simply go to my profile, press join, and there you have access to my portfolio where I invest in great businesses to marginal safety to deliver you real earnings, real products and services. And that's the value, real value. So it's up to you. And if you have other questions about Metaplanet, please let me know in the comments.